September last year, one day I was doing my usual things in my office when I get a call from my long-time client, Helena. She's a woman with a loud and booming voice. So as soon as I pick up the phone, I noticed something was off. She was whimpering, and it took me a while to figure out what she was saying. Michael, my husband just died. Helena came to become my client 6 years ago through the phone. She came from Taiwan to marry a man in Missouri, and she settled down in the middle of nowhere, basically. She's by no means an important client of mine because most of my clients are doctors and entrepreneurs who make a lot more money. Helena and her husband, they are middle class, but they don't have much financial knowledge and they need help, so I accept them as my client. And over the years, I do with them what I do with other clients. I manage their investment. I have regular phone call with them. Like every quarter, I have a phone call with them to help them stay on top of their finance. And whenever they have important financial decision to make, like when Helena decided to buy a rental property, she would bounce her idea off me. And over the year, I also noticed that whenever we had a phone call, she is always in the driver's seat, and her husband is in the background. Despite the fact that her husband does not speak Chinese, she would carry on the whole conversation with me in Chinese. And at the end, she would end the conversation saying that, "Oh gosh, that's the only time I get to speak Chinese for the last quarter." Something along that line. And I had this image, even though I've never met them, I have this image, mental image in my mind that her is this Asian woman who is tall, strong, maybe overweight, and her husband is this short and shriveled white guy. So when she told me that her husband just died, I asked her, what happened, Helena? And she said, "I came home and I saw my husband slumping in the sofa. I tried to move him to the bed, but I couldn't because he's 300 pounds heavy. So I called 911 and they came in and they say he's died. Now I have a pile of paper in front of me I don't know how to deal with." I comfort her and say, "Helena, don't worry. I'll go visit you as soon as possible." So I look into my calendar. The day she called me was on Wednesday. So I look into my calendar and I clear my schedule on Friday. I bought a ticket. I flew into St. Louis, and it was no joking that they live in the middle of nowhere because after getting to St. Louis, I have to drive another 1.5 hours to get to her house. And coming out to meet me was this diminutive Asian woman with a very sad face. I recognize it's her, even though I've never met her. I gave her a big hug, and she leaned her head on my shoulder and cried for like 1 or 2 minutes. And then after that, we went inside the house, and on top of her table, it was this pile of paper that deal with a lot of things like her Social Security death benefit, her husband's pension, her health insurance, and some payout from life insurance, etc. So a lot of things, those things will be difficult for people in normal circumstances, but for her, it is impossible. And a little mistake could cause her missing some important benefits. So I sat down with her and went through the pile of paper page by page, and we fill up all the forms. We make sure that every place are written correctly, so she got whatever she is entitled to. And time flew by very quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was 4 or 5 hours later, and it's time for me to drive back to the airport to catch a flight back home. And she stood up and she gave me a hug. And then she asked me, Michael, why do you come here to help me? My best friend in Los Angeles said that she would definitely come see me if I'm not living so out of the way. But why do you come help me? You could have just guided me over the phone. That's a good question. I don't know the answer, but I do know that it hurts so much to lose a loved one. And it's very meaningful to have a human being by your side when you suffer that loss. So I share with her my own story. 10 years ago, I lost my ex-wife to infidelity. And for weeks, I would walk up and down the shoulder of a highway and just watching cars zooming by me, and just kept thinking to myself if I should step into traffic and end all the pain. It was painful, and one day I was in a parking lot of a church, and I was suddenly overcome by this strong overpowering sense of abandonment and loneliness. I feel like I couldn't take it anymore, and I feel like I lost it. And I just grabbed the first person I saw. He's a young man. I grabbed him and I said to him, "Sir, I lost my wife. Can you listen to me?" And he stopped and listened to me. And we subsequently become good friends. And that's the moment, when I look back, that's the moment when my life began to turn around. And that day, I was touched by an angel. So I said to Helena, today let me be your angel. And she listened and she smiled. And she said to me, Michael, you made me smile for the first time since my husband passed away. Today, Helena is still my client. She is living a normal life. All her legal and financial matter has been carefully taken care of. And as far as money or finance is concerned, she has nothing to worry about. The other day, we just had a conversation, a phone call, and the booming voice is coming back to her actually. And she said, Michael, I think I'm gonna leave this little town and move to a bigger city. I asked her why, and she said, I'm only 50, I'm gonna meet guys. That's good for her. Thank you for listening.